This is a credibility issue with the commissioners. We don't trust them to spend the money appropriately. For instance, we have a chief financial officer who has said, with no levy, we'll maintain about the same status as we have right now. Without a levy, the next budget gives law enforcement about $347,000 of additional monies than what they have this year. The ballot summaries say that the money may go to these services, but it may not. As you heard Gil say, everything's a moving target. They don't know where they're going to spend the money. The commissioners say they won't promise to spend a single penny, that's their words, on any of the listed services. Instead, they will divert the money to the general fund and distribute it any way they want. That we're essentially giving them a blank check. I'm not going to do it. The commissioners have spent from the general fund $600,000 on a single piece of software for the assessor's office. That's 6 deputies on the road, people. And it won't even communicate with the computers with the planning department and the building and safety department. Plus, it costs $60,000 per year to keep it up and running. Also, from this money that they're going to collect, 10% goes to the internal services fund. Guess where the money in the internal services fund goes? Well, it goes to the $97,000 salary for the CFO, plus 30% benefits. It goes to the $75,000 salaries of the 3 commissioners, oh, by the way, plus 30% benefits. Do you think that people without retirements or benefits should have to pay primarily for employees that have these lucrative benefits? I don't think so. The total PERS obligations for Josephine County is $12.9 million. The compensated absences is $2.9 million. That's, what the county pays if all the employees left, and they would have to be compensated for their vacation time, I guess. Taxpayers without retirements shouldn't have to pay for these extravagant benefits. So I just wanted to say I'm voting no on this because there's a big credibility gap with the commissioners. I'm not going to waste my money. I appreciate the sheriff and what he does. Everybody wants law enforcement, but I don't want them to waste our money.
I'm Dale Matthews. I thought that we were going to raid against SOS, and we are. 2 commissioners and the sheriff. I thought maybe we'd be talking against people who are in road rage. Well, we are. So, look, if you go away for a week, you leave your grandchildren and your children, and they're going to have to eat. And so mom gives them a little money, dad gives them a little money. What do you think they're going to do the very first weekend? Games! If they're going to spend it all on a party, you'll be lucky if they're not starving to death by the time you get home. The other side really could have saved their time. 15 minutes, an hour, 3 hours, all the meetings they've had. I don't disagree with them when it comes to the fact that I personally think we need a sheriff. I want the sheriff to get the money. I can't vote for this because the sheriff's not going to get the money, not the kind of money that we've been promised. Cheryl Walker said, if we don't give to those people, to the people in law enforcement, 100% of the money, why we deserve to be driven out of office. We know already that they can't get 10% of the money, because 10% of the money has to go to inter-service fund. It's shared among all of them. Well, you don't want to have the sheriff not to be able to make photocopies, do you? If you think that that's where the money's going to go, that's ridiculous. It's also going to go to the person that rakes up the leaves. It has to go to the people that vacuum the carpet. That's not a part of security. And if all of that money was going to go just to the sheriff, why would he put it into the inter-service fund in the first place? just hang on to all of it. You don't share the money with all of the other departments if you're going to get all of it back. Right away, they should have to leave office. They said, if we don't, then we should be driven out of office. Okay, I got a car right out front. I actually agree with most of the things SOS says. I want the sheriff to get the money. But for sure, that's not going to happen this time around. They say, well, you know, if we didn't do this, why, we'd be subject to prosecution. You think that we're not going to check that out? Of course, I called. And they said, no, that's not at all right. That's where the credibility problem comes in. I sit in all the meetings, you know that. And I watch what they say. I know for sure that we cannot trust these guys. I didn't know they were going to be here. I'm not jumping on them because they're here. I was going to say it anyway, and I say it at the weekly business session every single week. I know this for sure because, well, wait, this is dedicated money. We've got something, a little thing, which you've probably heard of ad nauseum, called the PEG Fund. The PEG Fund has never been spent right. County Legal Counsel has told the commissioners, you're not spending this right. It's dedicated money. It's against the law to spend it on anything except equipment. What do you think they've been doing? They've been spending on everything but equipment. They spend it on re-roofing the Anne Basker building. They say, well, even for the 6 months, 7 months, that there was no TV. Why, this is a television studio. No, it wasn't. Have they put any of that money back? No. So why would we trust them if they're doing on a daily basis what they say they'll never do? How much time?
4 more minutes.
4 more minutes. We made up this list and we put it in the voters' pamphlet so that you could see for yourselves things like the $600,000 for one piece of software. If they're serious about putting money into the sheriff's system, why would they do that? Really, how serious can you be if you're going to spend over $500,000 on something like that? Well, as Simon here said, it's maybe almost required. You said that on KJO. So how are you being painted? Well, last month we were painted as a bunch of small crawly bugs that are bothering them. Because we bring up stuff and we play back videotapes. Probably most of you have seen the videotapes. You've seen exactly what they're doing. So I get up and speak. Simon Harris says, I already know what you're going to say. Sit down. Really? Not much respect for the voters. Or what happened is we get up and we make a couple of points and they start yelling at us. Or we'll sit down and then they'll start lecturing us while we're seated. Can I respond? No! See, the thing that really should be happening, in my opinion, is a gang recall. I want the sheriff to get the money. The next time something comes up and it looks like it's going to stay out of the hands of the commissioners, I'm going to be on the side of the sheriff. I'm going to lobby for that and try to make sure. What I'd like to see is I'd like to see dedicated money going to the things that we vote for. Now, this would be tough on all of you. What you'd have to do is you'd have to say, gee, I think I like the library, but I don't like the dogs. I like the dogs, but I don't like the DA. I like the children, but I'm not going to vote for the dogs. That way, you would decide, they'll never let us do that. Can you imagine? It's like saying, do you want to vote for none of the above? None of the above would always win. So, all that we're asking you to do is just vote on this one and say, this is voter abuse. You keep saying no, and they keep saying, oh, everything has changed. That's what they said. Everything has changed, so you're not against democracy, are you, Dale? You're not against the Republican form of government. You must let people vote. But again and again and again and again and again, they're not listening to us. And what they said last time was, they said, well, obviously we didn't get the message across. People are confused. No, we're not confused. They're confused. Because we keep telling them, now, I'll tell you what's going to happen when this fails. Keith Heck is going to go, wow, I don't think I'm going to promote this again. That's what he said. Simon Hare is even going to take it to heart. Cheryl Walker is already on the next levy. It's already happening. SOS is already working for the next thing, and this one's not even done. And the sheriff has said, this won't be enough money. So we're going to have to go through this again in November. So all we're asking you to do is vote no this time, and then get completely ready, because it's coming back again in November, whether this passes or fails. It's never ending. So there's two options, in my opinion. One of them is, Why don't they just put it as a continuing resolution, and every time we take a vote, we have to vote on whether we want property taxes to rise, because that's what's happening. Or the other one, what I'd rather see is, we all vote to make sure we put on there, we are putting in a referendum for the people to sign, saying you will never bring this back to us for the next 20 years. Now, for sure, our elected legal counsel, who we elect, would go to court against that 1 minute. Would go to court against that, against you as well. So the fourth person that needs to be added in that recall would be county legal counsel. Thank you.